The global financial crisis and Great Recession posed daunting new challenges for central banks around the world and spurred innovations in the design, implementation, and communication of monetary policy. The hypothesis that economic organization is the resultant of a series of historic accidents is intructive in that many organizational innovations appear to be the result of trial and error. There are three types of innovations that affect jobs and capital: empowering innovations, sustaining innovations, and efficiency innovations. Electricity is an example of a general-purpose technology, like the steam engine before it. General-purpose technologies drive most economic growth because they unleash cascades of complementary innovations, like lightbulbs and, yes, factory redesign. A whole bunch of big technological shocks occurred when Asian innovations, paper, gunpowder, the stirrup, the moldboard plow and so on, came to Europe via the Silk Road. Android was intended to be very customizable, and we welcome innovations. Many financial innovations such as the increased availability of low-cost mutual funds have improved opportunities for households to participate in asset markets and diversify their holdings. In its most limited sense, modern art would seem to concern itself only with the technical innovations of the period. Education in the light of present-day knowledge and need calls for some spirited and creative innovations both in the substance and the purpose of current pedagogy. Participatory democracies, open economies, web-based communication, all American innovations to the great conundrums of the globe. I think there was a revolution in poetry, associated chiefly with Eliot and Pound. But maybe it is of the nature of revolutions or of the nature of history that their innovations should later come to look trivial or indistinguishable from technical tricks. People talk about innovations and evolutions and that kind of thing. I don't understand about that nonsense. It's like, all instruments are there to use all the time. What's unique about the Mormon Church is that it encourages inquiry. I really do think my research and religion are all on the same page. I never could have come up with the notion of disruptive innovations, which went against a lot of conventional wisdom, if I hadn't been raised to always be asking questions. I do not think that music keeps evolving. It evolved through Bach. Since then, in my humble opinion, all the innovations added nothing. Smart companies fail because they do everything right. They cater to high-profit margin customers and ignore the low end of the market, where disruptive innovations emerge from. Continuing on my theme of backing inclusive innovations, I am optimistic of the success of Uniphore. Man-machine communication is one of the more complex problems to solve. Uniphore's vision lends possibility of finding a solution to this very difficult problem, and the company has already made substantial progress. As a consequence of these hesitations and of the vague character of such innovations, the Commission on Human Rights itself had doubts from the beginning about its role and its functions in general. Philanthropy is involved with basic innovations that transform society, not simply maintaining the status quo or filling basic social needs that were formerly the province of the public sector. I don't care whether the technology is invented by our employees. I want to bring everybody's innovations into our ecosystem together. If you look at the history of innovation, the innovations coming through the Defense Department have been some of the most important innovations ever. Little things like drones, sensors, and the Internet of Things are defense-type initiatives, but the big one is the Internet itself. I think all great innovations are built on rejections. Disruption is a process, not an event, and innovations can only be disruptive relative to something else. Innovation is what America does best. Whether it is the Apollo project to the moon, developing the most advanced defense technologies available, the rise of the Internet or the latest advancements in biomedical gene therapies, our nation leads the world in transformative innovations. It is critical for us to cultivate consciousness and compassion towards our environment, create awareness, galvanize people, and build sustainable innovations for sustainable development. TED Women will focus on the ideas and innovations championed by women and girls. These cover everything from community development to economic growth to biodynamic farming to robotics to medical treatments to the use of technology for personal safety and peacemaking. Efficiency innovations arise in industries that already exist. They provide existing goods and services at much lower costs. They are not empowering. Efficiency innovators become the low-cost providers within an existing framework. When I think about strong innovations in terms of automation, robotics, cognitive computing, and artificial intelligence, they are coming a lot from the Philippines and from India as well. Innovations in science and technology are the engines of the 21st century economy. If you care about the wealth and health of your nation tomorrow, then you'd better rethink how you allocate taxes to fund science. The federal budget needs to recognize this. Accelerating technology innovations such as ubiquitous sensors, cheap computing power, and 5G networks will open entirely new opportunities and challenges. The reason why it is so difficult for existing firms to capitalize on disruptive innovations is that their processes and their business model that make them good at the existing business actually make them bad at competing for the disruption. All innovations were born out of experimentation. Innovations never happen as planned. If the technical innovations of the Impressionists led merely to a more accurate representation of nature, it was perhaps of not much value in enlarging their powers of expression. In an environment where you've got to push innovations out the door fast and keep the cost of innovation low, the probability that you'll be successful is actually much higher. The Republicans are wrong in thinking that the rich create jobs. In reality, many of the richest Americans have been investing in efficiency innovations rather than to create jobs. And the Democrats are wrong, because growth won't happen if they distribute the wealth of the wealthy to everyone else. Scientific innovations continually provide us with new means of analyzing the finds. Space offers extraordinary potential for commerce and adventure, for new innovations and new tests of will. As Americans, we can't help but reach for the stars. It's our nature. It's our destiny. Many of the things the slow food people honor were innovations within historical times. Somebody had to be the first European to eat a tomato. Empowerment of individuals is a key part of what makes open source work, since in the end, innovations tend to come from small groups, not from large, structured efforts. We should make innovations in coal mining and metallurgical industries in particular so as to revitalize the overall economy of the country. Good intentions can often lead to unintended consequences. It is hard to imagine a law intended for the workforce known to Henry Ford can serve the needs of a workplace shaped by the innovations of Bill Gates. When men are easy in their circumstances, they are naturally enemies to innovations. Innovations that are guided by smallholder farmers, adapted to local circumstances, and sustainable for the economy and environment will be necessary to ensure food security in the future. To me, innovations are the wheel, fire, language, movable type. There are not 3 million innovations, there are 3 million inventions. Richard Childress and myself have made some important innovations on our cars. We are living in one of those rare moments in history when things may come apart and be put back together again in ways that will determine the future for decades or more, despite the endless innovations of technology. In a healthy economy, empowering, sustaining and efficiency innovations operate in balance. A healthy economy creates and sustains more jobs before squeezing out inefficiencies. We want to see more sources of alternative finance, from innovations in factoring such as Market Invoice or in peer-to-peer lending such as Funding Circle, which labor local authorities are now using to support and invest in local businesses. The innovations we need at our systems level require an understanding of business, psychology, and policy, but doing it with a deep understanding of how our decisions create barriers for fairness and opportunity for some people. In our urge to automate, in our eagerness to adopt the latest innovations, we appear to have developed a habit of unthinkingly handing over power to machines. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.